Good morning. It's Sunday. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter, and every Sunday from 11 to whenever we finish, we look a little bit at the transits and we do a little tarot card spread for you. So welcome. I'm just going to give this a second to get a little, see people coming in the room before I start. Basically, good morning, CC Pups. Good to see you. These videos are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about a sign and doing a reading, it's based on the rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you can go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time and location to determine that information. Good morning, 145 Club. Good to see you. I also want to mention, hi, Katerina. And good morning, little grasshopper. On Wednesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time, I have my guard in, so if I lisp a little as I get used to it. Neptune and Saturn are coming together and my teeth are moving. Saturn rules teeth. Anyway, 4 to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays now, I'm doing live tarot card readings based on your personal questions. So you get a chance to come in the chat and write your, oh, thank you so much, and write your question in the chat. Those that donate move to the top of the class. Good morning, Catherine. So please join me. It's really fun. We're enjoying ourselves doing that. I've also put out the New Moon in Pisces video, so please check that out. Good morning, Pixie Sacred Journey. It's good to see you. I'm assuming Small Wildflowers will meander into the room at some point. Okay, so let's talk about transits because this is a really important time, all right? March and April. Oh my goodness, so much stuff is going on because when we start to see Saturn and Neptune come together and they go into Aries, it's just going to make so much. I mean, literally, I think it's going to feel like a huge difference. It's almost going to be this soul's awareness that we are suddenly being tasked with really looking at where we have not tapped into the co-creator, the divinity within us, the soul's intention in this lifetime. And then Saturn is going to say, look, I have a big reward for you, but it is not going to be given to you without, you got to do the work, man. You got to show up. You've got to know what it is you want to the depths of your being so that when it gets tough, you know why you're doing what you're doing. And this conjunction is going to, okay, first we're going to experience the huge stellium in March with Mercury going retrograde, Venus going retrograde in Pisces. Then Saturn's going to get its way up to Neptune. And then those two are going to be like literally, they're going to be hanging out well into the rest of this year. They're going to go into Aries together. They're going to retrograde together. Then they're going to move back into Aries together. And that is coupled with Pluto's move into Aquarius. And ultimately this year, Uranus's move into Gemini. I don't know if you can feel time's already ramping up. So wow, wow, wow. Okay, so good morning. Oh, MK Mountain, good to see you. Could join us on Sunday. Hey, Stephen. I said hi to Pixie. I missed the last few weeks. I must say that doing readings on Wednesday has gotten me to know you better and how you need your read. So thank you. Oh, thank you, Pixie. I appreciate that. It is, I got to say, for me on Sundays, it's a little bit more, not that I don't enjoy it today, but once I start doing the generals, this is kind of Small Wildflower gets to interact with you more. So on Wednesday, I get to kind of interact with you more. So it's fun. We had a really, for the first time, Small Wildflowers, welcome. We had a radical troll on Wednesday. So I just would not give up, but we finally conquered the beast. So it was kind of funny because, we don't really get trolls very often. So that was kind of fun. Okay, let's talk about the transits this week because the end of February is teeing up March, and March is going to start with a bang. It's going to start with Venus retrograding, and Venus has not retrograded since 2023. didn't retrograde at all during 2024. So I think this is super powerful. Plus, it's going to retrograde back into exaltation. So from what is detriment, but we're rewriting how I think Venus truly rolls, because Venus is now an empowered co-creator, more aware of herself and what she's capable of. So Mars has started to station. Let me take a sip. Mars is stationed at 17 degrees of Cancer. That's what I think, small wildflowers. When you get a troll, this one was called Tarot Destroyer. And this great Mr. Wu was in the chat, and he helped. He's like, everybody block him. It was so fun. Anyway, okay. It was crazy, wasn't it? Okay. I have to focus because, you guys, I get chatty and I get sidetracked. Mars, the action planet, the planet of war, the planet of anger and resentment, is stationed at 17 degrees, the Leo degree, and really been revisiting, how do I nurture myself? How do I, nourish myself and give myself that feeling of safety and home and hearth? Mars is the self, and it's in this sign that is very focused outside of itself. So Mars is struggling to find balance in Cancer. Now it's making a trine to Saturn, its good friend. Now I think Saturn and Mars are friends because Saturn is the ruler of Mars's exaltation. So Saturn can be in a higher vibration, Mr. Miyagi, to Daniel's son, which is Mars. Or you can do your Star Wars metaphor, whatever you want, Luke Skywalker to Yoda. So Mars in the trine to Pisces is really sort of starting to get it, like, oh, I'm supposed to come from my heart. I'm not supposed to be mad at someone else for not seeing my passion. I get to be engaged in my passion and then invite them into my passion or into my ideas or into the version of myself. Because Mars's revelations and awarenesses in its retrograde in Cancer are also supporting Saturn and Neptune as it moves into Mars's rulership, Aries, later in the year. For the first time in 1862. It's a very long transit around the Zodiac for Neptune. So, and speaking of Neptune, sorry, I wasn't speaking of Neptune. I was speaking of Saturn and Mars, but as Saturn becomes in that conjunction with Neptune, they have not been in this configuration since 1862. So now Neptune is also conjunct the North Node, making us really want to feel that sense of transcendence, that sense of incorporating the karmic awarenesses. Neptune is really very, it's a gassy planet, right? It's one of the 4 gassy planets. So there's that feeling of things aren't clear, and they're not clear because you can't look at things with the 5 senses. The 5 senses don't work here. So then all of this is hanging out. Now we have Jupiter stationed at 11 degrees. 11 kicks me in the head, the master number of thought. And are my thoughts aligned to what my heart wants? Because that's going back to me, Neptune and the North Node. And then knowing that Saturn's going to come into this configuration and this conjunction, and it's going to task me to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Am I doing something that I love and I'm willing to sustain it? I got to say, doing this Sunday show is very Saturnian and Neptunian conjunct. A few years ago, I was feeling really kind of burnt out, and I would get a hold of Small Wildflowers, and I'd be like, "Do you want to stop doing the show? Should we slow it down?" I was really feeling burnt and not feeling impassioned, but she would fire me up, and here we are, literally demonstrating. She comes every Sunday of her own volition, and we commune in Saturnian and Neptunian ways where we're building structure for our spiritual lives to live in the 3D world. So I know it. We're all in it here together, which is really nice because we've all stuck in it here together. A lot of us have, and I love that. So anyway, I digress because Jupiter at 11 degrees of Gemini is squaring Mercury in Pisces right now. And they're already challenged because they're natural oppositions. And now this square is really this tension between being, I think, an anxiousness. This plays back to Neptune and the North Node hanging out together, being anxious to move the story forward and feel in the earth plane my spiritual body driving the bus. I hope I'm making sense to all of you because Venus is also, Jupiter's also in a good conversation with Venus. So I'm feeling an expansion of my self-worth. I'm feeling an expansion of who I am as I assert myself. Again, we've got Venus in Aries, technically in detriment, although I'm really not feeling that anymore. I'm feeling a lot of empowerment. Now, the final thing that's going on, and I think this is really important, is Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus, because it is hanging out for months at 23 degrees. And that's the Aquarian degree. It's the degree of liberating myself from not believing in my talents, not believing in, my abilities, or holding myself back in some way that has been fear-based or has been a historic story that's been told about who and what I am. So I think that that's powerful because I don't know if y'all are feeling it. And I said it a minute ago, but I already feel time starting to speed up. I already feel like that momentum of intention. Because again, as the planets move into air and fire, the outer planets, we're going to be more aware and impassioned by our thoughts. And we're going to feel the power of that. So, okay. All right. So let's go on to our readings now. We're going to start with our birthday babies, our Aquariuses. Rising moon, sun, and stars. And I hope y'all had a nice Valentine's Day. I don't really celebrate, but you know what's really fun? And I don't know how I did this because I drove every boyfriend in my life absolutely batshit crazy. But there's probably 3 super significant men in my life. And 2 of them always seem to remember me on my birthday and on Valentine's Day. And they text me and say, "Happy Valentine's Day, Teresa," which is funny. But anyway, so that was nice for me. Hi, Molly. Let's see. Just call me. See, I hope I said hi. I said hi to Steven. Hi, DJ. Welcome, everybody. I hope you've been having a good week. I got to tell you, it rained here this week, and it was wet and soggy, and there's something about it where if I'm prepared, and I don't actually have to go out, I love being kind of shut in sometimes and just hearing the weather. And, I live off the ocean, and the ocean goes crazy during storms. So I kind of enjoyed it. You might see it in the background of my new moon in Pisces video. You can see the weather in the background. 24 degrees. Okay, that's a little bit much for me. But anyway, all right, let's go on and start with our readings. I decided to use the Gilded Royale deck today. I just felt like this is my abundance deck. For some reason, this feels like a money deck to me. So I like it. And I hope you guys will all join on Wednesday at 4:00 Pacific time. TJ, love you so much. I got to say, these donations that you do are better than money because they're actually, I think I'm starting to get more. I mean, it's not crazy or anything, but I think I'm getting more traction on the algorithm, or something's happening. Because, when you get more thumbs down and you get more trolls, you feel like you're in the game. Oh, you're so sweet, DJ. I appreciate you so much. Okay, let's see what Spirit has to say for our Aquariuses this week, as you are still experiencing Pluto, in your first house, bringing up all sorts of interesting, hold on. We had a card inverted or upside down. I want you to try to embrace this Pluto idea, okay? Because Pluto is really making long-term trines. I'm sorry, long-term favorable aspects to Uranus in a trine and to Neptune in a sextile. And I really think that this is sort of this awareness of those psychological imprints where we make decisions based on something that is old, something that other people may think is realistic because you need to prepare for something horrendous to happen. But as we become more aware that our thoughts are things and we refocus and then we engage spirit to help us maintain that focus, the experiences that we have are going to root in our co-creation. And we won't villainize ourselves for being human, but rather we'll just use it as a point of reference that will allow us to shift in the direction we want to go. The whole reason the soul comes to this planet is for contrast, literally comes for the challenge. Will I remember who I really am while I'm here? God bless us. Hey, Outer Spice, good to see you. Welcome to the room. Oh, I love our Sunday mornings. I'm back engaged again. I think that might have to do with not drinking as well. You know, it's just become a weird thing because I don't think I have any issues with alcohol. But it's been so strange to feel such a lightness and in the absence of it. Okay, I won't talk about chocolate, all right, because I've totally replaced alcohol with dark chocolate. I have a cupboard full of sweets. All right, Aquarius, I finally did it. The 9 of Cups. I love that. Self-satisfaction, wish fulfillment. The Ace of Wands is passion and new desires. The 6 of Cups is childlike innocence. And then we have the 7 of Wands. All righty. Okay, for my Aquariuses. This is, in this deck, I love this guy. He is enjoying himself. You know, he's got barrels of wine. He's got glasses. He's toasting. Everything is flowing. We can see the green shirt really is indicating a sense of feeling abundant. Here is new ideas coming in, a spark, a sense of that passion. And I think somewhere for my Aquarius it's going to come from almost like a childlike, or it could be something that's impassioned by a childlike dynamic. So it could be because you have children and they've inspired you into a new passion or a new idea or something that you want to do. The 6 of Cups, yeah, really great card. Oh yeah, for you, that's your card. It's also a card that refers to the childlike innocence, the naivete. In the traditional Rider-Waite, you see the boy handing the girl the cup of, and it's full of flowers, and there are flowers all over that particular card. So here, I think this is a re-engagement of childlike passion or something that's coming from you, Aquarius. And this could be part of that Pluto transit is starting to say, hey, you know what? I no longer want to be in this situation. When I started to get sick of chasing other people's opinions of what I was doing, you know, like, will they think I'm cool? Will they like me? Will I be, have access to the cool places? And I started to be me. I found a whole new sense of leadership because here, I don't think you're defending yourself anymore. This guy doesn't look defensive. He looks like he knows exactly what he wants, and he's willing to walk through whatever opposition it is to create it. So for my Aquariuses, I think in this moment, this feels kind of powerful to me. And I want to offer this too, because Uranus is your ruling planet. And as Uranus is stationed at 23 degrees of Taurus, I really believe it's wanting to break up old stuff that feels restrictive, that feels confining. You know, that Taurian energy is very, it's of all the earth signs, it's the most sort of solid or unmoving. I know that the bull plows the fields or whatever, the ox plows the fields, but there's a sense of very slow to move. So here, I think for Aquariuses, it may have been slow to move at one point, but I believe at some point your happiness is going to be more important than what other people think. That's all I'm saying. So I'm sticking to my story. I love those red bows. Very cute. You guys like my new headband? I got a new headband. It's funny how little things can make you feel spruced up. Can y'all see Lucky sleeping under the desk? He's so happy. He's wearing jammies right now. Oh, thank you, little grasshopper. Thanks. I've been putting, I found little soft cysts on Lucky, so I've been putting some castor oil on them and then putting the jammies on him to try to, I don't know, save whatever, the carpet, the drapes, whatever. I don't even have drapes, the couch from the castor oil, but I really don't care. I care more about him than I do the furniture. Okay, Pisces, are you ready? Oh my goodness, Pisces, forget about it. You are so up on the number one on the docket for the stars right now, okay? And, you know, Pisces rising, this is so important because Pisces rising is the first house of self. So this is where literally the invisible, if you think about the sign of Pisces, it's like where the physical is looking through the soul's eyes into space and seeing the vastness of space and how what we can feel so minuscule in relation to it. But now we're putting that Pisces energy in the first house of saying, how do I represent my soul in this physical experience? How do I look through the eyes of my soul and continue to hold on to its path as I walk through the dense obstacles and obligations of the human experience. And so with all of this Saturnian energy right now that's been going through your first house, it's been about really kind of knuckling down on, what do I want? What do I want for me? What do I want long term? And what am I willing to do to really remove the illusions, the fantasies, the disempowerment, the defeat? Because on some level, if you think about it, I think the reason that Pisces rules addiction and mental illness is because of the denial of the soul within the physical self. And then going under the illusion of, oh, I got to do this for that, and I got to do that for this, because Pisces is so compassionate. It co-creates the invisibility of the self. So now, when you put Pisces in the first house and you add the idea that the North Node is now transiting there, truly asking you, how will you integrate yourself? How will you stretch to see who you are and what you are, regardless of what's going on with other people? And I mean that, like, in a way, not so that's heartless, but as you become more clear on that, more, and allow for that transcendence, that transformation, that co-creation, you become so much more powerful for other people. And to be that compassionate and empathetic person, because you can also lead the way out of the darkness. The darkness is never about helping somebody. It's about showing them their options and making those options look good. And that's what I think Saturn does. All right, Pisces. The Three of Swords is a broken heart. Ooh. Now we have the Wheel of Fortune. Then we have the Devil card. Oh, this is fun. But I don't think this is about what you might think it's about. Okay, here we go. And finally, the Two of Swords. You get to make a decision. All right, my Pisces. This Three of Swords in the traditional Rider-Waite deck is none. You never see this heart ripped up and torn up. It's always clean. And I feel like today this represents the Trinity. Will you allow whatever hurts, wherever you feel invisible, wherever you feel you have not achieved or experienced the things you want, will you allow that to illuminate you? Will you allow the Wheel of Fortune to turn for you as you identify where you have been entrapped by Saturnian energies that have reinforced any fears, any trepidations? That's a challenge of Saturn. Saturn initially grounds you into the earth plane in a way that's saying, can you? I don't know. Are you good enough? I don't know. Everybody's going to see what you do. Your reputation will be either, more than likely, you'll end up with a big L on your forehead. I mean, Saturn will scare you first. But once you kind of say to Saturn, like, look, I know my weakest link is my fears that I'm not willing to address. When you make that decision, Pisces, Something really good will start to happen. But look at this character. She doesn't just wear a mask. The wings are her mask. This is really Piscean. This is about trusting that if your heart has in some way been broken or betrayed, it was to illuminate where you had been giving your heart to somebody who might not have deserved it or didn't appreciate it or was taking advantage of it. That's the biggest challenge of Pisces, is that you love beyond what you get back. Oh, hi, Sophia. Welcome. Mars and Pisces, it's interesting because I think that's the spiritual warrior. Now, most people would say Mars is not happy in any water sign except Scorpio. But I think this is where Mars, because of the way that, if you think about the way the Zodiac is set up, the first time Mars hits water, it's Cancer. So it kind of tanks it. Then it goes into its rulership, where it's kind of can be very challenging in Scorpio. If it's not checked, then it learns to be the peaceful warrior by the time it gets to that other house. You have the moon in Scorpio, then you're so intuitive you don't even know it. Okay, I want to pull one more card for Pisces just because I want to see where this decision is going or what the momentum is. And we have the Two of Wands. You're going to move on from that broken heart or that betrayal or whatever is out of whack. You're going to start to really, that's what Saturn's been doing in your first house. What's sustainable? What is really going to serve your future versus just being that temporary thing that serves the minute? And I can't help but think it goes into the relationships in your life, the women in your life, Venus, the partnerships in your life, the people you hang out with, Mercury, as they both, go into Aries and then retrograde into your first house. That's pretty important. Pretty important. Okay, speaking of Aries, let's move on. Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Is that C mean your child? I don't know what my C means. I'm assuming it means your child. I think Mars has been kind of going through it lately because it had to retrograde for like 7 months in Gemini back in like 2022, 2023. And then it's done a lot of retrograding in Cancer, it feels like. And because of that, Mars is trying to hone its skills as a hero, as a brave one. So, all right, Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. That's me. 26-degree Aries rising. Now, I got to tell you, I think that it's really important to pay attention to the degree of your rising sign. And the more I do this, while this is based on whole sign, because I think it's easiest for everyone to wrap their head around, especially newbies, I really think Placidus is so important because the house size of the houses, the degrees, it gives you more and more information. So as a 26-degree Aries rising, it puts most of the house of self into the 12th house of invisibility. And it makes my first house dominantly Taurus. Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. We have the Queen of Swords. We have the Five of Swords. Dang. We have the Four of Pentacles. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so here we have Mars in the sign of Cancer. He is a man. Oh, when you said my C, I didn't know what that meant. So I didn't know what, maybe because that's not, anyway. But good to know. Okay, Aries, the Queen of Swords is very interesting because she represents the Libra energy here. But she also, you rule swords. In Scorpio, you rule surgery. And this is about thought and how man child. This is, to me, for my Aries, this is being aware of thought and how your thoughts are things. We see the kitten there. I think there's that significant. This is like taking on a more gentle, approach, the pussycat. Then we see all these doves representing peace. And we see that this card is predominantly blue and maybe even a little bit of purple because it's asking Aries to really come from that divinity. Look, we see the sword being ignited by this chalice with wings. It almost looks like something from Harry Potter, when they were playing cribbage or whatever they call that, Quidditch or whatever it is, the golden whatever it is. But because I want to offer this. Up until now, your challenging ways have made you win the war, but you didn't win. You know, or you may have won the battle, but you really didn't win the war because you didn't win what you wanted. And up until now, might be feeling very stuck, you know, like you just can't move out it. That would be very much the Mars traveling through Cancer. And on a personal note, interestingly for me, I'm an Aries rising, and I've had Cancers kind of my third house, not my fourth house somehow, or I don't know. I'd have to look at my chart again because I don't have it memorized. I don't look at my own chart very often, but I've had interactions with my sibling, and I haven't done that in a very long time. So Mars in the house of home and hearth could bring up things because the Wheel of Fortune is here. And what I think that means is it's a karmic choice now for you. Will you be the peaceful warrior? Will you be the divine disruptor? Or will you be the harsh, angry, resentful Mars? That's what you get to choose. I don't know if I think my audience is really still wanting to be angry and resentful anymore. I think that they're ready to move on to new territories and new frontiers. So as Mars sits stationary at 17 degrees and it trines Saturn in Pisces for the whole week, you get to kind of think about, where do I want my history to evolve? Do I want it to transform me? Do I want it to be the manure that makes my garden grow? Or do I just want to sit on it and be pissed about it forever? You can come on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to be doing personal questions then. But today we just do general readings for all the signs. So 4 to 6 every Wednesday now. It's a new thing we started a couple weeks ago. And if you give a donation, you move to the top of the class. If you want, otherwise you just go in the queue and we get to as many people as we can in our 2 hours. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So here we go. On to our Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. A stellium is where you have 3 or more planets in a personal planets. The planets that represent how you think, how you speak, how you take in love, how you have friends. So when you're looking at a stellium, you're looking at a focus of energy. And if we're looking at a stellium in Taurus, we're looking a lot at your self-worth and your skills, I think, and how that translates into money and security. I happen to have the moon in my first house. So I'm absolutely identify with my emotions. Everything about me is about my emotions. And much to my parents' chagrin, I've never once forgotten my childhood pains and aches. I have like a crazy elephant's memory for those things. And I think part of that is because I was meant to transform those situations into tools that made me a brave warrior. 26th degree is the Venusian degree. I really believe I'm here to help people have self-worth and to know their co-creation and then to take that on the road. All right, let's go. Taurus. Our first card is the 4 of Wands, which is celebration. Hey, Lucy Rose. We have the Ace of Swords and the opportunity or the obstacle. We have the 6 of Pentacles, which is nice. It's a money card, and the Sun. Lucy was there on Wednesday. She was participating. We're doing that again this week. So everybody. All right. Taurus, the 4 of Wands. I feel like this is about taking in all the things that there are to celebrate. It feels like a 2-year process. We see the dragonflies, and depending upon, again, your degree, Uranus could be doing all sorts of things. You know, it could be opening things up. It could have closed things down, but there's something about now feeling more secure, feeling like even though there's still open road, I feel like there's a sense of security. Everything's kind of falls in place. Now, here's the Ace of Swords. I want to give this to Taurus, okay? Because I think you've had new ideas. I think you've had new ways of communicating. You know, we think of Taurus as the silent one, but Taurus is oftentimes they like to use their words in a way that has meaning. You know, they don't like to just barf a lot of verbiage. They want their words to land. And here in the spirit, we have the 6 of Pentacles, meaning something's been bestowed upon me. And I think this is new thoughts, new ideas, new ways to talk to yourself. And then look at the sun. This feels so lovely. And I love the way this is depicted in this deck because it encompasses the zodiac, right? And I feel like this is even emphasizing, you can see Uranus on its side over here. Oh, no, sorry. Uranus is over here. That was Saturn. Uranus is over here. And I just feel like this is just indicating that if things have been topsy-turvy, the stars are starting to align for you, Taurus, to start to rebuild. Yes, receiving, accepting, and enjoying all your abundance. And through your own skills and talents. That's what I want to say there. All right, let's go into our Geminis. Rising, moon, sun, and stellium. I was thinking about Gemini today because as I was curling my hair, I was thinking about, it's so weird how these planets, like there's so many contrary things about astrology. Like Gemini squares Virgo, and yet they have a common ruler. And I thought, wow, it's because the way the ruler shows up is so different. Like Mercury is super light and super airy and super like, hey, TikTok, let's do a dance and go on and do some fun over there in Gemini, right? But in Virgo, it's like, I got work to do. I got to do it by process. So Mercury's expressing itself so differently. Now, when these two get together, they get irritated. Mercury literally gets irritated with Mercury because if Mercury Virgo isn't showing up, like if Gemini is not showing up for Mercury, Gemini doesn't show up like Mercury Virgo gets weird and cranky. So I think it's interesting to pay attention to the duplicity of the planets and then look at your own personal natal aspects, because you could get the higher vibrations of these planets even when they're in a square. So what my point is this, is while Mercury squares itself in Virgo and Gemini naturally, it also complements itself because the tension brings about an epiphany of something. It's the same idea with Mars and Saturn. Like they're supposed to be one's slow, one's fast. That's so shallow of a thought. How is Mars exalted in Saturn's rulership if they don't have complement each other in some way? Oh no, here goes another song in my head. I could just, all of a sudden, I just saw them with their little guitar, the original Parent Trap with Haley Mills. Thank you very much. Because the other Parent Traps are just, you got to go Brian Keith, okay? He is the dad in the Parent Trap. All right, Gemini, I'm going to stop talking. Haha. Try to get me to stop talking. I think I had a ghost here last night, by the way. My dead boyfriend? That's so irreverent. But my friend that died? Last night, I thought he was here fucking with my lights. I have these motion sensor lights at night. So if I get up, I don't have to worry. I just walk through the house and they open up. And I was laying in bed and the one in the hall kept going up 3 times. It went off. And I thought, well, even if there was a mouse in my house, it wouldn't trigger it because it's higher up. You have to be a human to trigger that particular one in the hallway because I didn't want Lucky triggering it if he got up off the bed. So I don't know. But anyway, I just had that thought and wanted to share it with you. Okay, here we go. That's what I get for praying for his soul to be at peace. All right, Gemini. Oh, our first, the foundational position is the High Priestess. Very Neptunian. Ooh, then the 10 of Cups. Great happiness. Then we have the King of Swords. Oh, and the Strength card. Okay. Here we go. What happened? I don't know. I missed it somehow. Okay. Maybe he's stalking me. He didn't stalk me in life. So, but maybe because I pray for him, because he's kind of Spitfire, man. He had a Aries sun and a Scorpio moon. He was something else. Okay. So look, Gemini. Look at this high priestess. How much passion does she seem to have in this picture? How much vulnerability does she have as she looks like Bianca Censori at the Grammys or whatever that was? That, you know who I'm talking about? Kanye's soon to be ex-wife. But I'm teasing. I digress. This is truly about vulnerability to your higher self, to the part of you, Gemini, that doesn't have anything to do with your brain processing the possibilities or getting the information, because spirit is literally offering you a time of relaxation and fun. But you might have to be slightly Aquarian and cutthroat in just focusing in on you, on this Aquarian energy. You know, Aquarius is kind of funny because, especially Aquarius moon for me, because I've met a lot of them that like really are very passionate and very emotional, but then they're not really emotional about other people's problems. And I kind of feel like that's what Spirit is saying for Gemini. If you really want to feel happiness and rest, you have to be a little unemotional about other people's problems right now, because they're co-creators of their own problems, so they can be co-creators of their own solutions. Because this is about you. What is Leo? Leo's about you, okay? You and fun. And I think this is the best way for Gemini to start to help the people they love, or to represent, or to neutralize any energies right now. You know, I'm not really for people who are narcissistically selfish, but I absolutely believe that people who are self-focused are actually very generous people, because they don't need other people to fill them up. And I'm not saying Gemini needs someone to fill them up. I'm saying the opposite. That Mercury energy is very busy. So I think your soul is telling you to surrender to a bigger picture. Okay, small. That could not be more perfect. That, you know, it's interesting because I have family things coming up, and I have had to say, you know, well, I, you know, really appreciate the olive twig, not a branch, that somebody has handed me. I'm not going back around the frickin' mulberry bush anymore. I'm too enlightened. I'm too old, and I don't freaking want to do it. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pretend. So if there isn't a co-creation of balance and somebody willing to come 50% and be accountable for their part, I'm going to just stay on my lane, you know. And if that's bad karma for me, I'll have a chat with God when I get there, because I think going into imbalance is worse than holding self-care. And people sometimes get really cranky when you have healthy boundaries. They'll literally villainize you for having a healthy boundary, but it's because they're out of balance. And that's Saturn. Hoo-hoo. Saturn saying, are you going to fall for the same historic shit over and over again? Or will you suffer and endure the pain of the barrage of those other people villainizing you while you do what you know is on a soul level more balanced? I don't want to use the word right, because I don't think there's right or wrong. Exactly. All right, here. Oops. Let's go on to our Cancers, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Yes, exactly. Little grasshopper. So a wise woman must have told you that. I can't imagine who it would be. And this is the thing I got to tell you, okay? Saturn in Neptune is messing with my teeth right now. I don't know why, as Saturn's getting closer to Neptune, but my teeth are moving very quickly. I've always had to wear a night guard. But for some reason, my teeth feel like because my one tooth wants to move this direction, the fake one. And so if you hear me lisping, it's because of that. I have to get used to talking with it in my mouth. I usually just sleep with it in my mouth. Okay. Cancer. How are you loving Mars in your first house? Are you feeling a little cranky? Are people being cranky to you? Okay. Lucy, are you talking? Is that about me? the guy that passed away, he wouldn't stop drinking. He was a Pisces rising, with the Scorpio moon, and he had Venus in Pisces and Mercury in Pisces. Had really a lot of problems with. I mean, he's like very much a functioning alcoholic, and I think and then he was kind of angry. Like the anger was he kind of seething underneath all of it. So I think it was a perfect storm that had been building for a while. And he also had the sun in opposition to Pluto in his chart, which would very much make him go through a series of ego deaths throughout his lifetime. And that would be where he was edging God out. And I actually even witnessed that in the end of his life, because he literally got himself completely in a freaking lather over these two kids that were Democrats, and they were on TikTok, and they were doing very well on TikTok. And he was so mad because they weren't getting blocked or suppressed, and he was, and it was all, and it was all about surrendering, but he wouldn't listen. Fixed moon. What can I say? Sometimes. Sorry about those fixed moons. All right. Okay. Am I on to Cancer? I think I am. Okay. I said I was. I promised I was. Yeah, I'm not falling for anybody old playbooks anymore. I'm way too smart for that, and I'm willing to be smart. Sorry. Okay. All right, my Cancers. We have the Knight of Pentacles. That's lovely. We have the Magician. We have the Five of Cups. And we have the Ace of Wands. I know we really do need to put like, oh, Cancer started, and then, oh, no, she didn't start. Oh, yep, she really started. Oh, no, not yet. Yeah. Sorry, it's how I roll. Y'all are getting used to me. Okay, okay, it's time to mosey on, Cancer. It's time, the hero, the knights are very much heroes of the deck, okay? They're young and they're willing to go and move forward. And I think this is really about, if you think about earth things, we're looking about, what do I want in the way of security? What do I want in the way of feeling a sense of being solid here? Because this guy is literally moving out of the spread, okay, in the foundational position. Now we have the Magician calling forth your thoughts. Your thoughts are things. You see that huge infinity sign? And he's literally staring like, are you going to focus? Because somewhere, and this would be Mars transiting your first house, you could be thinking about all the losses you've had, all the things where you haven't been appreciated, where people don't love you, where there's deficit in your life somewhere, and it's chronic. It's chronic. Because literally, Spirit, this whole night is literally asking you to move into a new passions, new ideas, new thoughts, to sort of, it's at some point, and this was not easy for me because I have a fixed moon as well. I'm a Taurus moon, and I'm very much attached to my family and my family history, even if I'm not with them personally. And, my dad used to go crazy. I would never get over anything. I would remember everything like an elephant. And mostly because there was never true reconciliation. It was always a get over it, move on, So my point for Cancer is that right now, if Mars is triggering arguments with people, or even arguments in your own head, this is a true opportunity for you to start to use your divine connection and say, help me to move in the new direction. Help me not to throw my emotions on things that I can't move anymore. I kind of feel like it's like kumbaya with the fixed energy. Some people will never change, and you can't love them through it, and you can't nurture them through it. You can't be mad at them through it. You can only make yourself solid by allowing yourself to do other things that are more passionate to you. I imagine the timestamps are very challenging every week. I just personally would wait until the very last hour before I'd write them down. I'm sorry. I try to be more direct, but apparently I just can't do it. I never knew this about myself until I started recording myself and watching myself make mistakes, watching myself thinking one thing and saying another thing. Breaking those chains. Yes, you know what? I want to say this. Maybe we just bend them. We just bend them in the sense of like, sometimes when you feel like you're in prison, if you could just bend the bars, you could get out versus trying to break them. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. On to our Leos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. That South Node in Virgo is going to be an interesting transit, I think, because there's so much about that Virgo energy that feels like, I was thinking about this. Okay, I said I was going to Leo, but I lied. Okay, let's just talk for a second, because I was thinking about this the other day. When the soul comes in the first house, literally the first to the fifth house, it's like a kid, right? You go through school, you go through high school, and then when you get to the sixth house, you're really starting to choose what you're going to do as an adult, which is where the service comes in, right? Where the feeling enslaved comes in, where the employment and employer comes in, where the stress starts to come in that erodes your health. So, what I was thinking to myself, and this is very Leo, is that what happens is when we get into that fifth house, most of the time, practicality has said that fifth house can't make money. Fun and entertainment and joy, they don't make money. You got to go back to something else. And that's where we mess up. So I think, pardon me while I'm pointing my finger, that it's super important during that South Node's transit through Virgo to really go, am I doing something? Am I in my everyday life purporting energies that support where I want to be and what I want to experience? Or are they defaulting back to things that are practical and realistic from a very antiquated human perspective and structure? Leo, I'm actually going to go now. I'm really, really going to talk now, Leo. I'm not lying. It's really Leo time. You can write Leo. All right, there we go. All right. Ooh, we have the Six of Wands. That's victory after the wars. We have the Page of Wands, new ideas and messages. Ooh, the Nine of Cups. We love that. That's a happy, happy card. It's a wish fulfillment, literally. And then the Eight of Cups is interesting. Okay. I want to offer this because, Leo opposes Aquarius. So the first house of Leo is the house of self. And again, I want to offer that degrees, because if you are more schooled and, you know a little bit about your chart, if you are a late degree Leo rising, it's really powerful because you're very close to the royal star Regulus. That also makes Virgo, a lot of you could be your first house, because what I feel like is there's some sort of victory over not somebody else. It's a victory over you. Maybe it's a victory where you're trusting your heart more, or you're more courageous, or you're more aware of the kingly lion or the queenly lion inside of you. Because this, I couldn't help but notice the triangle, which felt like the Trinity to me, the divinity, God, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And then the wars of my emotional body. I'm having new epiphanies, which are bringing me way more sense of satisfaction as you allow for those new messages. And then you walk away from whatever is not supporting that new awareness. Really super important. When we look at this Eight of Cups in this particular deck, we don't see the cups stacked up like we do in the Rider-Waite deck, where everything looks balanced, but it doesn't feel balanced. Here, what we see is the cups are sort of in disarray, but the garb underneath his tunic is purple. So what's closest to his skin is his divinity, his soul's voice, and then we see the red and sort of yellowy orange, whatever you want to call it, tunic and hat, which then to me, as I follow my soul, I bring in that base chakra, those lower chakra experiences. And that's why the moon is so big as well, because the moon is truly our ruling planet. I don't care what anyone says anymore. I will, you can tell me you studied astrology for 50 years and that the moon isn't, but no, I disagree 100%. God could come down right now and say, Teri, the moon isn't the ruling planet. I'd be like, God, you got it wrong. Literally, that's the kind of arrogance I have. Okay, because I think, no, God, we have to have a conversation. Let me present my case, and I think God would ultimately agree. All right, on to our Virgos. No South Node in your first house. You have to give up being a perfectionist. You have to give up being critical of you and everybody else. If you have planets in the first house of Virgo, you're going to have to work on the dynamics of the lower vibrations of those planets and be willing to integrate them and have an awareness about them. Thank you, DJ. I'm so glad you guys all enjoy this space. I really do too, because I had a whole new, I don't know. I guess maybe the transits, I don't know what happens. I think I've taken pressure off myself a little bit. Gotten back to my fabulously flawed stuff. Okay, Virgo, here we go. Got to keep on track for my Virgos. I'll really, oh my goodness. Page of Cups was backwards in the deck. So clearly there's a message of love come from your heart. Hello. Then we have the Hanged Man. Then we have the Seven of Cups. And finally, the Sun. This is so interesting because, Virgo, Pisces is all your seventh house, and that whole stellium is coming into your seventh house. And this is not just about your partnerships, okay? This is about your peace. This is about your harmony. This is about your diplomacy, okay? Because the thing about a seventh house Pisces, like partnership Virgo, Virgo seventh house being Pisces, is that you'll want a dreamy relationship, and you could be very challenging and very nitpicky about the relationship because it's not perfect. Because here, I really think that this is focused in on you handing your cup of love, being aware of it, taking time to see the divinity and the kind of the pendulum swing of being a human, because we pendulum swing all the time between faith and fear, between yes and no, between I can and I can't. And I think that this, for my Virgos right now, is really looking at your seventh house with the duplicity that it offers. Because, to have there's a reason why there's such a polar opposites on these accesses. There's a reason why Spirit wants you to be aware and build sustainable relationships, because it's not just about getting the job done. It's about recalibrating Virgo into pleasure and joy and Leo-like energies. So when you go in, this is what I was trying to say earlier, when you take the fifth house of Leo in the traditional zodiac and move your talents and your skills and all your education that you've had through the first 5 houses into the 6th house, and you do it from your skills and your pleasure, that's where you are truly of service. So you, Virgo, will have to give up practicality and redefine it. You'll have to redefine what is realistic. Yeah. Is it realistic to go back to limitation? Is it realistic to go back to an old story and keep bringing it into the future or into your present? And it isn't about trying to get rid of it. It's just an awareness. Literally, when you say to yourself, oh, that's an old story, you're already neutralizing it. And that's the key. I think human structure says you got to get rid of something because it's bad, cut it out. I think that's not so good. I think it's like, that's the contrast in the awareness, and that's how we have self-care. Welcome, Christopher Woodard from Sacramento. Are you new to our welcome to our room? I'm so happy to have you here. Look at us. More people, more fun people. This truly is a sacred space, I swear. It really does vibrationally align to so many wonderful people. Oh, we're so happy to have you. Welcome. All right, we're going on to, we start with the birthday month, and we go our way around the zodiac. I'm a Libra, so I can't just always start at Aries and end at Pisces. It's too out of balance for me. So I got to tell you, DJ, I'm the same way. I listen to a lot of stuff while I'm like dusting or I'm cleaning. And then I get annoyed because if I have to turn the vacuum cleaner on, I have to pause it. Or if I have to turn the water on. All right. We're going on to our Libras, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, and just because Christopher is new here, I'm just going to reiterate before I move on. On Wednesdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, I do tarot card readings based on your questions, your personal questions. This is something new we're doing. We've done it for about, 3 or 4 times now. It's super fun. And everybody puts their question in the chat. And those that donate are move to the top of the class and get their questions answered first. And part of that is not just the financial donation, which is beautiful and I love it, but it's also to help grow the channel and to get on the algorithm. Because if YouTube doesn't make any money, they don't like us as much. All right, Libra. Great. Love it, Christopher. I'm glad you subscribed. Oh, dear God. I'm a Libra sun. We have the Devil card. God bless. Then we have the 9 of Pentacles. Interesting. The 6 of Cups. And the Lover's card. Okay. This is interesting because the Devil is really not about the devil. This is not negative. It's more about Libra, the tendency to want to avoid confrontation, the tendency to want everything to be peaceful and not look at where there could be potential divine disruption. Because when I look at this Devil card, I kind of felt like I was dancing, like literally dancing on fire, like there's something happening right now that is tasking Libra to go into a deeper awareness of your motivations. Because here is the self-made woman. And I always think that part of the reason, I shouldn't say woman, self-made human. And part of it, if you look at the garb that she's wearing in this deck, the blue robe is very predominant on the outside. And it feels like she's come from her awarenesses of her base chakras. And she's now understands her self-talk and how she vibrates on the, how talk literally, like if you put your hand on your mouth, not only do you feel your breath, you can feel the vibration of your voice. That vibration is sending messages to the universe. So this would be Libra kind of starting to be aware of her voice or lack thereof her voice, and an opportunity to tame the challenges from your, literally I want to say from your childhood, and to adopt a more, Libra's an interesting energy. I'm a Libra sun and a Taurus moon. So I'm double Venus rule. I've got Mars ruler, but I'm very Venusian, so I'm also conflicted because this is where I'm going. I think it's time for Libra to make a choice. I don't think this has to do with lovers. I think it has to do with making a choice if I'm going to go around the same old story and do the same old thing. And part of it may be that I don't express myself, that I instead, because I don't like confrontation, I just suck it up or go do something else. But here, this week could potentially bring up an awareness of places where you feel restricted, where you feel limited. That's the Capricorn energy. So this is not necessarily, something that's happening to you. It feels more character driven, like it comes from potentially your childhood where you felt historically limited or disempowered or not in your full, whatever that is. And now it's time to be vulnerable to a bigger choice. These lovers have a great amount of passion in this deck. The male is very much depicted as very powerful and very, like he's a gladiator. And here she is, looking up at him. And I think that choice is beyond just another person. It's like the two sides of Libra, right? Libra is the scales. So there's a hero in you, but there's a part of you that gets to be vulnerable to that hero. As soon as you're aware of where your fears lie, and then you can express yourself in a way that feels constructive and peacemaking and harmonious. Yeah, I don't really read this as the lovers, meaning he looks like a ghost. Well, he does kind of look like a ghost. He's translucent now that you say that. Oh, maybe this is a ghost. Maybe this is where her choices come in, is because because she's not actually looking at him. Wait, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. She's not actually looking at him. And look at her hand. It's going out like this. That was a good observation, woman. Maybe this is the ghost of Christmas past. And choices, that would make a lot of sense. Well, I'm a Libra, and I'm actually got some historic crap going on. And I literally have to make decisions. Am I going to do it based on fear and limitation and the old story? Or am I going to embrace my own evolution and make a new choice? I got to tell you, that was a really good observation. And now that's going to hit me a lot. Because when I look at this, he's not actually looking at her, and she's not actually looking at him. I'm not even sure he's actually touching her. I thought he was embracing her, but her hands are like this, like she's doing, well, it's an Egyptian feel anyway. She's walking like an Egyptian. Oh no, here we go. Walk like an Egyptian. Exactly. That was really good. See, this is why I like using different decks, because that gives you a different intuitive hit. All right. Onward and upward to our Scorpios, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. We talk a lot about Pluto moving into Aquarius and how that's going to really change things. But as that happens, we also see that the fixed signs are all affected. There's the opposition to Leo, which we talk about a lot, but I don't really bring up the square to Scorpio and Taurus, right? And this to me is really powerful. At some point, Pluto's going to square my moon, which I think will be an interesting dynamic, because the moon does rule an intuitive aspect. Because that's where I'm going, is to see Pluto could be potentially squaring the Scorpio energy. Now, Pluto's at 2 degrees now. Pluto's going to go up to 3 degrees, then it's going to retrograde back. Pluto is squaring the Shapley attractor. The Shapley attractor at 2 degrees of Scorpio, where we are releasing false attachments. So wherever you have a planet within, I say, 5 to 12 degrees of 2 degrees, I believe it is, of Scorpio, and the tighter the orb, the more intense the release of false attachments will be. If you think about what Scorpio rules, it rules that deep psychological imprint that entraps you and makes you feel powerless, or it makes you feel so powerful that you want to dominate other people. So this is really a real powerful square for those that are experiencing, that energy, especially Scorpio, because Scorpio, like, for instance, Jeremy's moon was at 1 degree of Scorpio. His sun was at 0 degrees of Aries. And I thought that was very powerful, because the 0 degree of Aries is the world access, the very beginning of, the Zodiac and the discovering of the self. And then his moon, his anger, he was very attached to his anger, and he couldn't let it go, which I thought also ate him up. And that's why the Cancer went crazy. But anyway, I think the drinking didn't help. So Scorpio, be mindful, because you may be having a situation where you're releasing false attachments to things like other people's money, or, sex in some way, or, the traumas of your childhood that haven't been transcended or transformed. All right, Scorpio, here, the foundational position is the 4 of Swords. It's rest. Then we have the Sun. We have the 3 of Pentacles. And finally, the Knight of Wands. I want to offer this because this is rest after the wars, This is really, and if we look at it, we see the 3 swords above the character. And then there's that scorpionic psychological sword underneath him, right? And I feel like this is a bit of a surrender to know that once we've been imprinted with something, the actual releasing of it is probably not really realistic, not even on a soul level, because the imprint is part of the contrast. It's part of that opportunity to say, oh, I've been there before. Now I'm going to move this way. Okay. Because Scorpio, I really do believe that part of what you're doing here is learning to follow your heart, coming into a cooperative relationship with your fears, your trepidations. This is Mars in Capricorn. The Three of Pentacles represents, yes, on the mundane, a job, working with others. But in the angel's advice, it's really creating a relationship with the Trinity and your part within that Trinity, which is further echoed to me by the three swords that sit above this character. Because I love the way this feels. This sun is offering heart and courage and warmth and things growing, but it is part of you being willing to be cooperative. And that cooperation is, oh, I've done this before. Am I going to do it again? Because literally the Knight of Wands is like, it feels very Sagittarian to me. Like literally it's time to travel into new beliefs and new experiences and new opportunities, instead of trying to go back and somehow ferret out where the problem came from and try, that's the little challenge of Scorpio, especially Scorpio moon, which is the most intuitive sign. I literally think when Scorpio moon tunes in and works with intention, it's incredibly powerful. I really, because you rule death. Okay. You can talk to the dead. So here, this is being brave about moving away from things you can't change. And that could be the square from Pluto that will eventually hit all the Scorpio fixed signs, Scorpio and Taurus. And it's also going to, in these early degrees, give you an opportunity to recognize those false attachments, because when we're children, we're trained to have false attachments to other people's opinions, like our teachers and our religious leaders and our parents and our grandparents. Everybody's an authority over us when we're little. And that becomes an imprint. And sometimes that imprint gets stuck onto our Sagittariuses. Rising, moon, sun. Okay, this is the other thing. Okay, I'm not going on to Sagittarius yet. I want to say this. So I was thinking about this Shapley cluster thing that I talk about a lot, right? And it kind of starts in the Libra energy. Then we see this energy that we just talked about in Scorpio. Then it goes into more energy in Sagittarius. So there's 4 points within the Shapley attractor. First, we have the galactic center. Then we have the super galactic center. Then we have the great attractor. And then we have the Shapley attractor. Not in that order. When we go into that first, the super galactic center, when the planets start to feel that Libra energy at 2 degrees, we're being tasked to really look at ourselves as co-creators, as part of the balance, right? Part of the scales. Like one side of the scale is my soul, the other is my soul inhabiting the physical experience, and how do I bring them together? And then as I align the air element, my thoughts, with that co-creation, I understand that I create resources. And then as I walk through that partnership where Libra represents the interaction with other people and cooperation, then I start to have to release the false attachments of their belief system that doesn't align to my belief system. You can't just attract people to come to your house and do readings. And I'm like, well, actually, I can sit on my ass. I don't have to market. I just tell spirit to bring everyone to me. The average human will think that's bullshit, which is why there's no earth signs in this cluster. But here, so we release those false attachments of other people's opinions, monies, etc. Then we go into the real wild co-creation in the Sagittarian energy, which brings me to Sagittarius, because we have at 14 degrees, the great attractor. I recently did a reading with someone who has a moon at 15 degrees of Sagittarius. You literally can use your emotional body as a measuring tool and then engage spirit, and you can attract whatever resources you need through that alignment. Then you go into the Sagittarius 27 degrees of the galactic center, where you can download through meditation solutions to problems. This is so powerful. And as we harness this energy in human awareness, we represent possibilities. That's why we love people for their potential, because the soul literally comes here with potential as the agenda. We don't know, we're not guaranteed we'll make it because we have free will. All right, onward and upward, as I say. I love having 33 people in the room because it's like a master number. It's also my master number. I'm a 33-6, my life path. My sun and my Mars are all, well, my Mars is in the 7th house, but my sun is in the 6th house of Libra. My talent is psychology and self-confidence. All right, here we go. Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Pardon me while I remove my big long hair. Ooh, we have the 5 of Pentacles. Okay. Then we have the 6 of Wands. Then we have the 6 of Swords. Okay. And the 8 of Cups. Very interesting. A little bit of a challenge. Oh, post it up. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Love it. Every time I see you guys give me a donation, I think, oh, yay. YouTube's going to give me more airtime on the algorithm. I really think that. Thank you. Okay. 5 of Pentacles, not easy. Okay. I'm going to just say it straight up. In this particular deck, it's interesting because the characters are not actually looking downtrodden. It's almost as if they feel powerless to outside sources. You know, like, will the wheel turn? You know, is it our turn? And I think maybe that's where I was inspired to talk about the Shapley cluster and about how powerful the Sagittarius energy is, because we're really, you know, we've gone through this lack of awareness through the Libra Scorpio connections, and then we go into this major, you know, the connection to the divine. You know, oh, thank you, DJ. Oh my gosh, you guys are being so loving to me today. I don't even have any Venus transits right now. Here's victory. Moving into smoother waters is what's being offered to you. This is also victory that comes after feeling like I've been in the wars. And I can't help but think that this is like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I see that as this Trinity. And now we have this 8 of Cups again, where I'm really following my soul's journey. I'm no longer hoping that the outside world will bestow upon me the things that I want, but rather I'm more willing to see my victory comes from harnessing my thoughts and moving into the direction I want to go. The 6 of Swords is a card that can represent moving away from sorrow, but the sorrow is not necessarily gone. In the traditional Rider-Waite, there's a guy that's like steering this boat, for lack of a better term, but there's still the child and what appears to be maybe a female that are down and looking depressed. Here, the boat is literally a transformational swan. We see the blue cloak very much in the 6 of Swords is as you align 6 again, 2 6s, right? The 6s are a new beginning. In the tarot, when you're looking at the minor arcana, 1 through 5 is like one chapter, and then 6 through the 9 is another chapter, and then the 10, of course, is a new beginning. Because I think this is really, again, following your spiritual path, looking to the moon and your emotional body as the rudder for your truth. And maybe part of that is not, it doesn't have to do right now with a physical move at all. It feels very much like a mental, emotional move. Like I'm no longer going to look outside of myself for validation or for my resources. I feel I can be victorious from what I have been warring with by going into my divinity, being aware of my thoughts or things, and using my Sagittarian energy to connect so much more succinctly to what is my truth, and then moving towards that truth from my heart first and my mind. Okay. Interesting. Is your birthday coming up, Lucy, this week? Happy birthday. All right, on to our final sign of the day. Well, I'm gonna have to write that down on Wednesday. I'm gonna have to make a note that your birthday, we'll bring it up on the show on Wednesday. 2/22/21. 2/21. Okay, Lucy's birthday. All right, here we go. Our final sign of the day. And again, I want to thank everybody who knew, both who came into the chat and just kind of hung around in the background. Want to invite you to join us on Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, where I answer your personal questions. It's all about you on Wednesdays, which is really fun. So please join. Be sure to check out the new moon in Pisces. This next few months, this year is very, very, it's so powerful because we're going to be feeling like the whoosh of new energy. And when I say the whoosh, I can't help but thinking like I'm walking into the ocean, and you know how you're fine when you're down by your feet and down by your knees. And then when it hits your stomach, you're like, oh, that's so cold. That's exactly how this energy is going to feel. A little funky at first. Ooh. Stephen, your birthday is the day that Venus goes retrograde, March 2nd, March 1st, March 2nd, depending where you are in the world. And Venus hasn't retrograded for since 2023. I know. The best thing is to go with it. You know, the stars are going to move around. The ones that fight it are the ones that are going to have the hardest time. The rest of us are going to experience kind of magical things, I think, really. Because we're going to really it's coming from the inside out. It's not coming from the outside in, which is what we were seeing in that previous reading for Sagittarius. There's something about them looking on the outside for some solution, but the solution is really on the inside out. Okay, our final sign of the day, my little goats. I haven't called you my little goats in a long time. For my Capricorns, I think it's a good Scorpio. Didn't we do Scorpio already? I think I did Scorpio already. And I did Sagittarius. Where are you, small wildflowers? I think I'm almost done. I'm on Capricorn, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay. Oh, and I want to just say this really before I move on. Don't be mad at me. Whoever told me to watch Traders Australia, I love you so much because of all the series so far around the world. That is the absolute best. The first season is a freaking mind meld at the end, and the second season is even better. So, I'm hooked. I got to tell you, I can't even begin to tell you. It's so, and I'm almost having a moment. I don't know if you've ever read a good book, and when you get towards the end, I always slow down because I'm afraid. I don't want it to be over. That's exactly what I'm experiencing right now. Thank you, DJ. I got a new headband. And I got new earrings too, but I couldn't get them in fast enough, so I wore my old earrings. I always seem to buy earrings that have one problem child, one earring I can't find the thing. Oh, I didn't know that. All right, we're on Capricorn. And then we'll be done for the day. Thank you so much. This must be all my clean living I'm having. Although I'm not sure it's truly clean because I think I've just changed from, spirits that you drink this way to sugar that you eat this way. Okay, Capricorn, my little goats. Go look at some baby goats on the internet this week and remember who you really are. You're really happy and bouncy when you're in your proper energy because you are literally ruled by the god of the golden age. And when you tap into that, and then you remember where your brass ring is, Saturn's going to take you on a journey. And it's going to be one at first that hurts. I don't know if you guys, I haven't said this in a long time, but if Saturn was a character in a movie, it would be Coach Boone from Remember the Titans. And if you haven't seen that movie, I think he's a perfect example of Saturn. At first, he runs your ass ragged, yells at you, tells you you're worthless, and then he builds you up and makes you a movie star. So, all right, Capricorn, here we go. We have the King of Pentacles. That's fun. We have the Six of Cups. We have the Five of Swords. And then we have the Death card. Ooh, let's see. We're going to have to pull a clarification on that. All right. You have been working very hard, my Capricorns. That's what my King of Pentacles is telling me. Building, 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 planning, structure. You know, Saturn has been working very hard as it's been going through Pisces, trying to build a strong relationship with Spirit. So now what Spirit is saying for my Capricorns, and kind of similar to Virgo, to be honest with you, it's time to be more childlike. You know, it's time to start to play. Otherwise, you're going to start to get pissy again. Not again, but, you know, you got to watch out for that tendency to endure pain beyond measure, because this is fun, and this is kind of not, because you could win what you're trying to accomplish, because apparently you're working on something, you're building something. The King of Pentacles might be sitting on his throne, but he has worked extremely hard to create that throne. And so now we see this Death card is really not about death. It's about now reflecting on the taking a rest for a minute. This is work, literally. So I think that two things could be happening. One, there could be some kind of illumination of something where you're starting to reevaluate, depending upon where you are in your career cycle, what it is you're doing, and if you want to continue on doing that thing. But overall, it feels a little bit like this is a reflection of and a recalibration of work, meaning I'm working very hard and maybe I need to just actually take Saturday off and not do anything, you know? Let me pull one more. Yeah, this is about having some fun, celebrating, taking time. Sometimes, you know, when we're building something and we've been working super hard on it, we get so used to working, we don't know how to relax anymore. We don't know how to sit back and just have a good time. We kind of get task oriented. And if anybody could get task oriented, I think Virgo and Capricorn are kind of a little bit fall prey to that. So for my Capricorns, I think it's about sitting on what you've built and starting to enjoy it a little bit and reflecting on how you want to balance things, because Pluto worked very hard going through your first house. And now as it goes through your second house and you start seeing what you're building through your own skills and money, it could vary. And Saturn's in your second house as well. So you're really having to look at what is sustainable. And sustainable isn't just about making sure that all the bills are paid and everything. It's about your personal physical energy. Because if I remember correctly, it's your fifth house is Virgo. It should be, yeah. Yeah. So I really want you to start to think about playtime. So, okay, that's it for today. I want to thank everybody for being here, because I love you all so much. And of course, you know, I don't know, honestly, small wildflowers, I don't know, you should have seen us floundering around with our tarot demonizer, whatever, destruction guy on Wednesday, trying to figure out how to get this person out of the room. And we were all talking about you and about how much we appreciate you, but we don't get those kind of creeps in here anymore. So we'll just have to figure it out on Wednesdays. Hopefully we block them for sure. But so thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Be mindful that this is, again, we're ramping up for a very, very busy spring. And well, I hope you can pop in just for fun, you know, not for work, but just for fun. You could even ask yourself a question, which you never do. So, all right, we'll see you on Wednesday. If I don't see you on Wednesday, I'll see you next Sunday. And have a lovely week, everybody. Be intentional and be gentle with yourself. Peace out. See you later.